I just want people to think we were frozen. I want people to think there were digital issues going on.
Just hold on, I gotta get more pipes in the back here.
Just trying to fucking inject a little mirth into this mirthless day. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fat Man Beyond. I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Hey!
Oh.
Kids, you know, we don't cover the fucking real news. We cover the news that's not news, but news to us. Mark said right before we went, perhaps it's time for some trivial news. And that's what we're bringing in tonight. We're not going to touch on other things. We know there's a big world out there and things are going on, but for right here, kids, we're going to talk about fun stuff. We're going to talk about all the movies that are coming, the TV shows, fucking the culture that pops and whatnot, and try to just leave the real world out there. Would you agree, Mark?
Tonight, that's the plan. Tonight, we all know what's happening in the world. We all know the things that are potentially not happening, or things that are being raised, or things that are being stricken down. But we're gonna do some uninspired ad copy reads. We're gonna talk about some Moon Knight, perhaps. And we are going to get into some news, all the news that you can use, and then we're going to go home happy.
We're here streaming tonight, kids, from our respective places. Are you home or are you at the office?
I'm on a beanstalk, Kevin.
Look at you, fucking be careful. Look out for those giants, man. You got gooses up there, lay golden eggs. P5, fun. Do you hear that? Fucking run, dude. That means a giant's about to shit off the beanstalk.
It's raining mud.
We're home because tonight, kids, since it's May 3rd, Scum and Villainy Cantina is in a state of readiness. They're getting prepared for tomorrow, of course, is a national holiday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Star Wars Day. So the cantina being the cantina, it's a big day for them. So rather than monopolize the place up until, 10 o'clock or midnight tonight with Fat Man Beyond nonsense, we decided to do it from home and give old JC a break. You there, Banff man? You want to talk about Star Wars Day tomorrow?
Banff.
There he is. It's Banff man. Go up to JC, everybody. Tell him what you're doing on Star Wars Day.
We've got Jet Lucas and Elliot Sirota, who's a mega Star Wars fan, running Star Wars trivia tomorrow at 11 a.m. We've got a special cocktail menu with Qui-Gon Gin and Juice. That's no moonshine, and a bunch of other fun drinks like that.
That's no moonshine. That's cute.
If you're not in LA, I'm gonna be on KTLA at 7:30 in the morning, talking about midichlorians and who would win in a fight and May the 4th.
Are you talking to Sam Rubin?
I don't know.
Are you zooming in or are you going in?
I'm zooming in from the cantina. And then
you're probably talking to Sam Rubin. Probably gonna ask you about Star Wars. You're gonna have so much business. Tell him how fucking crazy crowded it gets there on May the 4th.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's been 2 years. Last year we were open on May the 4th, but there was all sorts of COVID capacity restrictions and things.
You had to do shit for cars, right? Like people drove up, picked up blue juice.
Yeah,
was that 2020?
2020 and 2021 we did that. We're going to do that again in 2022. In 2019, which was the last real year, we were around. We opened at 6 a.m. and we had 60 people waiting to get in at 6 a.m. on May the 4th.
Wow,
in 2019.
In the morning.
In the morning, yeah, we were open from 6 a.m. till 2 a.m. And then we had
no judgment on those that want to imbibe that early. As a wake and baker, I fully support that sort of thing, particularly if it's not a regular activity, right? It's only on May the 4th. They're like, I'm gonna get my fucking that's not a moonshine on by 11 o'clock, god damn it.
I think we were doing We were doing mimosas back then at that early hour. Tomorrow we are open at 10 a.m. We're not going as crazy because it's a weekday. But if you want to, if you're still doing the work from home thing, you might as well be working from Scum and Villainy. That's kind of like home for geeks everywhere.
You think you'll have a line tomorrow? People get in?
Probably a few people. I expect it not to pick up probably until mid-afternoon, but it will probably be busy. I think people are gonna people always show up for our Star Wars trivia.
I was talking to Jordan today, who runs our company, Mrs. Jason Muse, Jordan Monsanto, and we were talking about like how happy we were for you. Like, you know, JC's bar could have fucking perished during the pandemic. We held on, and when the world kind of reopened, like it surged for him. So like the bar's going great. He's got this other gig where he shoots things all the time for like the Hollywood Reporter and all these places and whatnot. He's got the fucking kid, you know. Yeah, maybe one day he'll marry his lady, but other than that, everything is just coming up fucking Millhouse for JC. And Jordan wrote something like, you know, good things happen to good people. I was like, yeah, he is a fucking good dude, man. Tomorrow he's going to be inundated. I'm happy for you. This day every year, man, it's huge for the cantina.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, it is the geeky holiday. It's it's Christmas for geeks, you know.
True. And then last night, Monday night, I had a show at the Troubadour for the Netflix as a joke festival. I was one of those. I was a joke. I was one of the jokes in that festival. The joke was that I was even included, but I was flattered. My show was at the Troubadour. It was sold out. It sold out very quickly. And they were like, you want to add another show? I was like, fuck no. Like, I take the easy win, man. Like, no way. So we had a show at the Troubadour. And then afterwards, there were a bunch of people who are members of that Kevin Smith Club, which if you want to join that, kevinsmithclub.com, who were like, hey, can we have a meetup? Like, well, we've had meetups on the East Coast at Smodcastle for club members only. So I reached out to JC and I was like, hey, man, can we come to the bar like at 10 o'clock after the Troubadour show? And probably be about 20, 25 people or something like that. And we can shoot, you know, the conversation that I have like we did at Smodcastle. We call it that Kevin Smith Club State of the Union. And I just wind up interviewing the members of the club. And so JC was like, yeah, man, Monday is 10 o'clock, fucking dead. Yeah, we can totally hook that up for you. And then yesterday was the perfect storm, man, because the Doctor Strange premiere happened right in town at the El Cap down the street. And of course, Mark and I were invited. What the fuck, man? Like what did we do? Why can't we how come the only time I get invited to a Marvel thing is when Chris Hemsworth is like, you won't be my date? And I'm like, yes.
Yes, I do.
I can't get in otherwise.
I know. Like, we're going to spend a decent chunk of whenever the next show is, sucking Doctor Strange's dick for a while.
I know.
And yet, we can't go.
I see the people that do go too, man. I was watching the premiere and I'm like, well, what about, but why not? Well, we've said nice, whatever the fuck. In any event, I ain't in it for the free graph. I would just like to see the fucking movie early. That's all. So apparently the Doctor Strange premiere was going on and there were a sea of cosplayers who then after the, you know, premiere began, they went into the movie theater and the movie began and shit, and everybody outside fucks off. They descended upon Scum and Villainy, man.
Oh, nice.
Like, it was packed last night. And JC like moved the cosplayers to the porch for an hour while we did our thing and then moved everybody back in. How late were you open last night?
2 a.m.
Look at that shit, man.
Wow. It's like, Monday night's not busy. Come on in. We'll totally be able to host you.
You are the Sam Malone of this bitch, man. You know what I'm saying? Just fucking bar owning son of a bitch, man. Like, fucking awesome. People, man.
I'm just happy none of the Wanda Maximoffs that were there went crazy. There was like 7 or 8. Scarlet
And
Witches.
they haven't seen Doctor Strange yet, so they don't know.
No, they
you know,
did. Though the people who came
Those
in
people who came to the bar had been to the
were
premiere.
invited in. So all we
Were
need
they
to do
given
is cosplay, and maybe we
Were they
get to
given
go.
any spoilers? Wait, if me and Mark had dressed up like Wanda, we could have went to the premiere.
That's all those. They invite cosplayers all the time.
Oh, see,
Maybe we got to do this show in costume, bitch. You know how like Nate Gonzalez does our artwork every week. This week it's Evil Dead based and stuff. Maybe we just got to take those designs and dress like these fuckers so that we get in to see these movies, just a day or two early.
I mean, we would end up cosplaying and they still wouldn't notice. We would just be the schmucks in costume who
I'll
don't get to go
cosplay
to
as fucking Silent Bob. I got an outfit looks just like the fucking thing.
screen used. It cost me a fortune.
Exactly. So yeah, all those cats. Did anybody give you any spoilers in the bar about Doctor Strange? I can't wait, man. Shit's right around the corner.
I
If I
asked.
wasn't going back to Jersey, I go to Jersey on Wednesday because on Saturday and Sunday we have Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash Silver Anniversary Bash. Tickets at csmod.com if you want to join us. So we're heading back Wednesday night for Thursday morning. And so I'm not going to be able to get to see it. Deacon was setting up a screening for us, 40X. We could have been in them fucking chairs watching Doctor Strange. But I'm going to be catching it back east for damn sure, man. Earliest possible show, maybe the late show on Thursday night or something.
Ooh, yeah, that's when I'm going.
Anybody spoil it for you, JC?
No, the only thing I heard was that despite all the leaks, like we all know Patrick Stewart's showing up. He was on the red carpet.
What? No, yeah, we all know that. Now they don't even hide him in the trailer. Now he's like, we'll see what kind of Doctor Strange you are. And they showed the chair from the cartoons.
Yeah.
But
Nuts.
everybody I talked to was like, I was surprised at how many things like that were in the movie that they were able to keep secret, that nobody knows.
There's more.
He's like a ton more is what I heard.
This is the bomb, the salve that's not going to heal, but it will fucking help right about now. I can't wait. I cannot fucking wait. I want to enter the multiverse of madness, Mark. I want to be there now.
There was some quote that I read that Sam Raimi had given. I want to say it was to Rolling Stone. And the nut of the quote was, I wanted to do it just to show these kids how you make a superhero movie.
No.
Yeah.
Did the old gunslinger fucking come out of
one last time,
my ass? Now they're going to let this guy do anything he wants. He's the, Sam was all over the map in terms of directing and creativity and whatnot. Now I bet you could be a Marvel guy for the next like 10 years straight. Kevin Feige going to keep him on lockdown. He's in many ways the perfect Marvel director.
Yeah.
Think of all the different styles of films that Sam Raimi has done over the years, man. And like he's done funny, he's done actiony, he's done intense, horror, drama,
Westerns.
emotional. Say which one?
Westerns.
So you combine all that, that's like the fucking recipe of a Marvel movie, for heaven's sake. So I'm not surprised. I saw a lot of good notices for the movie. People being like, holy shit, this kid Raimi's got a future. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid spoilers. I see some people trying to spoil it in the chat. I'm looking at the chat and there are people trying to throw, you shush chat. Nobody spoil it. I saw a little clip online the other day that I don't think this could have been faked. And it was mind-bending, the characters that they had in collection. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So looking forward to this. All right. Well, before we dive down the whole of this week's news, because I'm sure there's a bunch of it and stuff, we got bills to pay, kids.
Indeed.
And thank the Lord, there are people out there that believe in Fat Man Beyond as you know, a piece of media that they're like, I'm gonna attach my brand to them. I'm gonna hitch my wagon to their so-called star and see where it goes, man. And we got 2 sponsors tonight. We slobberingly, gratefully thank them for sponsoring Fat Man Beyond. Tell them who's first, Mark.
Up first are the good folks at Stance. You know how Stance. You're all about those Stance. We talked quite a bit last episode.
We did. Here, you fucking talk to these people about Stance for a second. I'm gonna get my Stance fucking nookie cap.
Oh boy. All right, sterilize it first.
No.
Back in the day, sweatpants and joggers were only to be worn around the house or the gym. You couldn't be seen around town in that stuff because it just wasn't cool. But now Stance is making a full line of sweatpants, joggers, and hoodies, and more that you'll be proud to be seen wearing wherever and whenever. They're not just making socks anymore. Stance apparel is all really soft and comfortable with some very interesting designs, not the same old styles that everyone else offers. Stance has all the active benefits you want with a casual, more creative aesthetic.
You want to see the face of fucking sex, Marc Bernardin?
Bring it. Oh,
right?
Look at that John Bernthal punk.
Don't you feel a little moist now because I'm wearing my Stance sex hat?
That's the Scully of a man who likes to eat pussy.
This is my banging beanie. When I slide this on, my wife's like, uh-oh.
That's your nookie yarmulke.
Don't I look stupid? And I say that as a guy who wears this hat all the time.
Ooh, double bag it.
God bless my wife that she could look at that and be like, yeah, I'll fuck it. The good folks at Stance, man, they make socks, they make hats, they make loungewear. These people are making some nice clothes, man, that even my wife was all about. If you look, you can go to stance.com, follow along and see actual pictures, man. Their philosophy is that you should never have to sacrifice your own individual style for the sake of comfort. The fuck is that all about? Now you don't have to, man. Whether you're relaxing around the house, working out at the gym, or running all over town, Stance now delivers its signature softness. And let me tell you, this shit is soft. As soft as making love, which I don't do. The signature softness and creativity in a full line of active apparel styles, from toe to head, socks to fucking toques. Stance has got you covered, man. Head over to stance.com and you can get 15% off your first order. I bet you if you use the code, what, Fat Man?
That sounds about right.
These Stance kids, man, I believe in them. They fucking changed my sex life. I know that's not their aim, and that's probably not, you know, what their slogan should be, but.
You know, I mean, sometimes a great product just revolutionizes your life in ways that you couldn't have anticipated before you put on a hat.
You didn't know you needed it. I didn't know how bad I needed Stance in my life, so I took a stance, God damn it. Kids, go to stance.com, maybe /fatman. If not, just stance.com. And when you ring out, you probably use the code Fatman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my thing here is cut off.
Yeah, same here. Fat Man sounds about right, though.
That sounds about right based on history. And the good folks at Stance going to hook you up. Please, please, if you're a man who's like, I've needed a sex woolen cap, follow my lead, go to stance.com. Use the promo code Fatman, I'd imagine, get 15% off. Let them know Fat Man sent you. And we slobberingly gratefully thankful to the good folks at Stance, not just for sponsoring our podcast, but for giving me a renewal between the sheets.
From your head to your socks. Rock out with your cocks.
I used to fuck wearing this. And this is very distracting. Imagine, look at this coming at you, Mark. You can imagine that. I love you.
Is this good for you?
We love it, don't we? We married. I lose like all the verbs when I'm fucking because I'm just so amazed,
we married.
Amazed that it's still happening. I go total Conan.
I now fully expect somebody on the internet to make a VR simulation of Kevin Smith having sex.
They got it. They can loop that over and over.
Yeah, we love it.
This is what you want to avoid. All right, man. How you been? What you been up to? You working?
I've been working for a living, my friend. Working for a living. In a great way. Like, I'm loving it. It's
One of those many jobs you're not allowed to say what you do yet.
one of those many jobs I'm not allowed to say what I do yet.
Like a fucking husband in the late 50s, early 60s working in Washington and shit.
Yeah, just go off to the office. How was your day here?
You're like those husbands in Don't Worry, Darling, that trailer, man. Everyone's like, what do they do out there?
Never the mind.
When are you allowed to talk about what you're doing? Do they ever say, hey, you could talk about it?
You know,
aware of your other job, this your secret identity.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they are. Like, we started this room though the Monday after Seth Meyers. So like the beginning
you walked in a celebrity, my friend.
And it was also like, there was a couple people who knew that I had done it, and then a couple who hadn't. And then like, hey, I saw you on Seth Meyers. And the guy's like, why the fuck were you on Seth Meyers? You're a television writer. Like, yeah, I know. But also, I have 19 other jobs, and one of them got me on Seth Meyers. But yeah, it's always fun to help reveal to people who you think you might know that you have a secret identity as a person who does completely other things, including being on a podcast.
Now they got to be careful, man, because
they'll
be like, we can't fucking talk about spoilers in front of him.
He'll blab. He'll tell everybody.
He's like one of them Walter Winchell types. He's a fucking newsman. He's a news hound. He's a journo.
Where's some head of hopper? I'm a gossip.
He's a gossip. Deep cuts. Our ancient audience got every one of those references.
Yeah, as they were like pulling the skull cap over their ball.
Like, we couldn't have went for like, he's a Just Jared or something kind of,
He's a TMZ. Nope, he's a head of hopper.
Reaching way back.
I got to get that Clark Gable out of the papers.
I've been hitting cons galore, man. I was in Cleveland this weekend.
Ooh.
Fan Expo Cleveland. That was a lot of fun. Did a show, a Jay and Silent Bob Get Old show. This weekend, as previously mentioned, I go to New Jersey for the Secret Stash Silver Anniversary Bash on Saturday and Sunday. And then the weekend after that, I go to Fan Expo St. Louis. And then the weekend after that is Orlando MegaCon.
Ooh, you're all up in this Fan Expo biz.
The con is on, my friend. And I've been back in it thick. People are so nice, really sweet, make you feel welcome, and lots of folks sharing stories about like what the bullshit that I've made over the years, how it affects them and what it means to their life. Really, really fucking nice. It's never work. The only work is flying to a place, and with me and my luck with airlines, that does become work. But once you get there, it's like, you fall into a love fest for like 24 to 48 hours where people are like, even if you've done some shit, they're not there for the shit. They're there to celebrate what they love. And oddly enough, some of the shit that people call shit is what they love. Like I've always loved going to Comic Cons. In con world, Mallrats was a hit from day one. Nobody was ever like, oh man, the sophomore slump. It was no Clerks. That movie made people feel seen in con world. So 10 years after its box office life, when it caught on to the rest of the world and stuff, I was used to that level of, I love Mallrats, even though it flopped at the box office, because the Comic-Con community embraced it so fucking hardcore. So I don't know, when I go back, it reminds me of that time as well. It's just so, I've always loved con. Even before I was a professional, I loved going to con. We just called them comic book shows because we didn't have fucking cons. San Diego had a con. Yeah, it's been nice to be back. You're going somewhere. I saw you're going to England.
I'm going to England in November for the Thought Bubble comic book convention, which I was supposed to go to last year, but I pulled out because of COVID concerns, and Omicron was on the rise. And I'm like, do I really need to get on a plane for 18 hours to go to the UK? And then I was like, no, don't need to risk it. But they were very kind enough to invite me back to make my debut at Thought Bubble this year. I'm doing the.
You're actually going to be there.
I'm actually going to be there. I'm getting on a plane and heading over to Leeds in the UK.
Down the Leeds side streets that you slipped down?
Hell yeah.
That's sorry, man. That's a Smith's coming from a Smith himself.
That's how you got to roll.
Hang
And then I'm doing
hang the DJ, hang the DJ, hang the DJ.
I'm doing the Northern Fan Con again, which I do every year. The good folks up in Prince George, British Columbia, are kind enough to invite me back every year. And it's similar to what you're saying. It's always nice to walk into a place where people seem happy to see you.
Absolutely, no doubt.
And then I got to start thinking about Comic-Con, man. San Diego is coming soon.
Can't wait. We're taking over the Tin Roof Inn, turning it into a movies. And that's going to be our hub for the whole week. So during the day, movies will be open. We'll be doing some streaming things. I believe we're going to be doing Fat Man Beyond live every day.
Ooh.
Like a kind of, this is what happened at the con today. This is what happened at the con today. This is what happened at the con today.
That's fun.
If you're around midday-ish and stuff. And then at night, we'll be doing shows in the space because we've got like space for 150, 200 seat audience. So, normally we do shows while we're down there, like Hollywood Babylon, Fat Man Beyond, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. We'll do them there at the space so people can eat movies, drink, get their drink on, fucking watch the show. It's gonna be a good time. I'm really looking forward to San Diego, obviously, because it's been a minute since we've all been there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I'm starting to make plans and think about hotels and how long am I going to go for? Am I going to do the whole thing? Am I not? I don't know. But if I got a place to be every day, then I'll find a way to be there every day.
All right, these people don't give a fuck about us or our private lives. All they want to know about Mark is what's happening, what's in the news. So Mark used to be a newsman. Now he's a scripty. He's a writer. He's a scribbler of the pictures. But back in the day, man, he got his start on the beat. And every once in a while, he dips his nose back into the news so that we could do a fucking show. Mark is bringing us the news. What news? Whither the news, Mark?
What ho on the news front? Well, today, and not just today, like a couple of hours before we decided to record, news broke that Amanda Waller is getting her own HBO Max show. The second spinoff from the Suicide Squad James Gunn version, and theoretically also from Suicide Squad, the David Ayers version.
Yeah.
Viola Davis is reprising her role as Amanda Waller.
You could trace that all the way back to Snyderverse. So technically,
Indeed.
Zack Snyder,
who cast Viola Davis as Amanda Waller for, if I remember correctly, it's BVS, right? It's the tag of the BVS credits. But yeah, HBO Max is developing the spinoff, which Davis is in star to talk and executive produce. James Gunn will also executive produce the project, which will be written by a writer from Watchmen named Crystal Henry, who's coming aboard to write and executive produce the potential series.
We loved Watchmen.
Very much so.
Wow, that's good news. I'll take that. And it's just crazy that like Viola Davis is a like legit classy actress who gets an Oscar nominated. The fact that she's like, you know what, I'll keep doing like this character, and it allows this show to pull, they got a treasure trove of fucking intellectual property, i.e. characters that you've never seen in a DC anything. And now they got a chance to like fucking pull them out the box and put them on screen. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. And she cameoed in Peacemaker as Leota Adebayo's mother.
Right.
And so now picking up that thread, the Oscar winner, the Tony winner, the Emmy winner is going to be in fucking, she's missing a Grammy, I think.
Emmy winner, Oscar winner, Tony winner. Yeah, so she would just need a Grammy.
Yeah, which all she's got to do is narrate an audiobook and let's go to work.
I know, she does have a commanding voice. Wonderful.
Oh, hell yeah. And she's no stranger to television. She was on How to Get Away with Murder for like 9 years for Shonda Rhimes.
You're right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Wow, man. It's crazy. If you would have asked me fucking when I was reading Suicide Squad as a kid, do you think Amanda Waller will ever get her own show? I'd be like, of all these characters, what are you nuts? And here we are.
Here we
Tremendous,
are.
man. I support it. I like her portrayal of the character. I like their rendition of the character, and I like the fact that that's going to give them access to a bunch of DC villains and
Mhm.
heroes. You know, it's hopefully they're taking a page out of the Marvel book where they're like, look, let's spend the money and keep these things alive as we feed into the live action. I've read a story somewhere online that the guy from Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery, is
Mhm.
the merger is final or whatever the fuck. And so now it's Warner Brothers Discovery, and some guy who's in charge of like all the entertainment. I forget his name, but I read some story about how that cat is like, look, I want the TV shows and the movies and cartoon, all of it to match up, all of it to be in the same universe and shit like that. So
Yeah.
that's, there's a cat who's like, why can't we be Marvel and Disney at this point? So
And he's been pruning some stuff. He's been, now that it's official, it's like, all right, you know what, that Wonder Twin Powers movie we talked about, that the Riverdale boy got cast in, canceled because
that's official. So I thought that was a rumor,
yeah,
but
I
that's
mean,
official that he killed that movie.
it's still sort of rumor. I think there's some people who have it sourced, but Warner Brothers has yet to come out and say that that's true. But I mean, I don't know who was asking for that, and clearly the guy who now runs Warner Brothers Discovery was not one of those people asking for that.
Right.
He was like, you know what? No.
Bro, could you imagine? I mean, like, whether or not that movie needs to get made, it's up to the people who fucking finance shit. But like, could you imagine being the filmmaker or any of the filmmakers involved in that production, and you've gotten to not just casting, but the announcement of your fucking cast? And then that means you know how close they were to production, if not already in deep pre-production.
Mhm.
So for them to pull the plug, man, that's serious business. That's a guy going like, we don't need this.
Yeah, like how much did we already spend? A couple $1 million in development and whatever. Not going to spend another 40 to make this movie. Grand opening, grand closing.
If online on Twitter, I always see people going, hey man, they need a Kevin Feige for DC. Why don't you do it? As if it's my choice, as if I'm like, no, I'm too busy. Like but in a world of wish casting, who would you choose as the DCEU's Kevin Feige?
Whoever's standing right behind me in the line to run that, and they decide they don't want me to do it, and then the next guy can have it.
You, right? Fuck
Yeah, I'd do it.
Pick you. All right. So shy of you, James
I'm
Gunn.
shy of you.
And yeah, obviously I ain't getting no jobs. James Gunn, I would think, on the well-known side, James Gunn, I think, would be good. Naturally, Zack Snyder as well. But I don't understand why they don't just give him his own fucking pocket universe. Just make a fucking DC movie every 2 years, whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Gunn would be good because it seems as if you want a creative person in that role. You don't necessarily want an executive, unless that executive is Kevin Feige, who's the anomaly, the unicorn of unicorns. Is a dude who was not a writer, was not a director, but who just knows it all so fucking well.
Is a storyteller regardless,
right? And has a vision for what that is. And there are not as many executives with that skill set potentially as there used to be. There's less Alan Ladds and the Robert Evanses, the producers who were creative and who knew story and just were like, yeah, I'm going to hire a dude to do a thing. Sometimes it goes poorly. Sometimes there's sharks in those waters because Jeff Johns was a creative dude who knew all of this stuff, but under sort of his imprimatur, the DCEU did not flourish in the way that people might have hoped it would. And so, but like a filmmaker like James Gunn, who knows what he likes, he knows how to make good things, who has an ear for stuff, who's got a sense of humor, and who knows how and knows where the bodies are buried, that's not a bad call at all.
And if you were like, it can't be a director, what about Paul Dini?
Yeah, I mean, those guys like Bruce Timm or Paul Dini, the guys who were like making Batman stuff for decades.
Making the best Batman stuff. I mean, Paul Dini, the guy that wrote Heart of Ice, one of the greatest Batman stories ever told about Mr. fucking Freeze of all people.
Mhm.
Like he legit turned Mr. Freeze into something instead of like, just a fucking joke. Co-created Harley Quinn. All of his fucking scripts on the Batman animated series were fucking golden.
Mhm.
That dude knows his DC. Like, get him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he would ever take the job because I bet you it's a pay cut, but Neil Gaiman similarly, like understands television, understands movies,
Oh,
knows the DC universe deep and wide, and knows all of those characters.
that's me just fucking losing it. Could you imagine that? Like,
And has a bit of the personality of a guy who could be that sort of figure, that kind of godhead of a universe.
and you would follow like Neil to hell. I mean, we did in comic book form, but like, what an amazing guy to work for that would be, like a storyteller as your boss.
Mm-hmm.
Like you couldn't lose. It's like bowling with fucking bumpers in the gutters.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I always remember hearing stories about James Cameron, who, has his problems and his, whatever. He's a very particular person. But there were guys on the set who were always like, James Cameron could do every job on the set. He's a cinematographer, he's an art director, he's a model maker, he knows VFX, he's an engineer. Like he designed the helmets in the Abyss. Like they didn't exist before. They didn't just go buy those. Like Jim built them. And so what it's like to be working for a guy who knows how every instrument works, like that's a bit like Neil and Story. Like, yeah, he could write these if he had the time. He could do this job. He could do your job if he had the inclination. But instead, he's just going to help set the tone and the pace. And that's not a bad place to be.
All right, what else we got?
Remember how we were very, very excited that they were going to make a Fantastic Four movie, and the guy who made the Spider-Man films was going to take over and bring that kind of joy and energy and bounce and bon vivants to the Fantastic Four? John Watts.
Hold that thought, just because Chad has had some suggestions on who should take that Kevin Feige role.
Yes.
A lot of people loved your suggestion of Neil Gaiman. But then there were alternative suggestions. For example, Rob Zombie. Interesting choice. Frank Miller, Todd McFarlane, or Russell Cook had my favorite suggestion. He wrote Martin Scorsese or bust, baby. Could you imagine you get Scorsese to commit to like, we want you to run the DC universe?
80-year-old Martin Scorsese is like, what else do I got to do? Let's fucking do it. What else do you want?
He plays Joe Chill and he faces down young Bruce Wayne. He's just like, did you ever see what a 22 caliber gun could do to a kid's parents? That is something you should see. Something you should see is what a 22 caliber gun could do to a guy's parents. That is something you should see. And that is my Taxi Driver homage performance, ladies.
Very nice. Outstanding work.
Only in the land of podcasting can you get away with material that lame. Hey, it's Banff Man, everybody.
The one that I liked in chat was a few people were calling out Ben Affleck.
Look, I've been saying it for fucking years, man. Ben Affleck, one of the smartest people I've ever met, and also, honestly, one of the top 10 funniest people I've ever met. I'd give Affleck control of it, but as we've seen, Ben's like, no more capes for me, please. But Ben's a good idea. What is it, Banff Man?
I was just gonna say, but if he's behind the camera, is it no more capes? Like, he doesn't want to wear a cape, but if he's directing and show running, I think
this guy has a chance to be the next Clint Eastwood. He can act and direct classy movies for Warner Brothers from now until the day he's fucking like 90, whatever, the Clint Eastwood is. He can make his cry macho, fucking 40 years from now.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, exactly. Ben could be screaming about getting off his lawn in a good 30 to 40 years and making 100, 200 million bucks for Warner Brothers still. So I don't, I'm not saying like he's above fucking these movies because he's been in a bunch of them and these movies, nothing above him as far as I'm concerned. But his future seems like it's Argo, like, you know, adult oriented motion pictures. Not, you know, adult oriented where it's like, oh, porn, but like fucking adult oriented shit. Like, you know, the shit your parents would go see at the movies, like Network and stuff like that when I was a kid. Now, you know, obviously I love Network now, but when I was a kid, my parents were like, we're going to see Network. I was like, why?
There's 5 of them on the TV right there.
Yeah, and you could, well, not then, man. It was only 3 at that point, and then some local affiliates. But what I said was, go see King Kong instead. I says, fuck Network. I was 6 years old.
Fuck Network.
And then on Oscar night, my dad woke me up. He's like, hey, get up. Network just won an Oscar, so fuck you. And then I went back to bed.
Love you, Dad.
I learned a lesson that night, Mark.
But Dad's got a long memory and he holds a grudge.
But Dad was very petty.
Hey, kid, wake up. Fuck you. It won.
And then I waited 30 years and I did it to my own kid one day.
Yeah, we met forever.
All right, where are we going next?
So yes, John Watts, who made 3 Spider-Man movies that are incredibly well loved.
This Watts kid, fucking, I can't wait. I cannot wait to see his Fantastic Four movie, man. As much as I'm looking forward to the Multiverse of Madness, fuck, I'm gonna stay alive to fucking see the John Watts Fantastic Four movie. If John Watts ain't making a Fantastic Four movie in this fucking reality, I don't want to be in that anymore, Mark. I don't want to be in any reality where John Watts isn't making a Fantastic Four movie. That being said, what news do you have of John Watts?
He's not making a Fantastic Four movie.
Why can't we have anything nice, God damn it?
Making 3 Spider-Man films was an incredible and life-changing experience for me. I'm eternally grateful to have been a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for 7 years. I'm hopeful we'll work together again, and I can't wait to see the amazing vision for Fantastic Four brought to life, he said.
What's going on this week, man? They're overturning 48-year-old laws, and John Watts ain't directing fucking Fantastic Four.
One of those is very important. The other one.
You're absolutely right.
Boy,
oh boy, man. At least it's his choice.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, but I'm sure it's one of those. It was coming too fast. I just spent the last 7 years in a headlong rush to get those movies into theaters on time. And Marvel's got dates they got to hit. They got a Fantastic Four they wanted to be in theaters, and maybe he was just like, I need a break. I need to not be doing this for a while. I need to do anything else but this. I don't know. Unclear.
If the internet is to be believed, John Krasinski is going to take over as director. That's the story I've seen all over Twitter for the last few days.
Who knows?
In a world where John Watts doesn't want to do it or isn't doing it, but like Quiet Place 1 and 2 are fucking phenomenally directed movies.
I'm sure somewhere Johnny Fabs is like, I'm going back in. Fantastic Four.
Are you kidding me? Fabs is just like, bro, I'll have Star Wars until the day I die. As long as I don't fucking, do something bad with these characters. Like, I'm in like fucking Flynn till the end of time. Like, me and fucking Dave are the new fucking Lucas boys over here, man. We don't want to play with the Marvel toys. Look what we can make fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi do. Like, I can't imagine Jon Favreau gives a shit about Marvel unless they're like, hey, we need you to play, fucking Happy again. And then he's like, happy to do it because they give him a nice fat check. But he's got his own toys to play with.
Can we give Kenobi a sex hat? Yes, we can. Brought to you by Stance.
Oh, shit. This is what Ben Kenobi's doing right there. Hey, Banff Man's back. Well, he heard talk of sex hat. He's like, look at mine.
I just wanted to point out, Harvey Glassman in chat said, Justin Lin is free. He likes movies about family.
That's very true.
And the Justin Lin being free. Remember, did we talk about it?
Yeah.
And we speculated that it could have something to do with Vin Diesel.
Din Diesel.
And it's been confirmed. Justin Lin flat out said, yeah, it's got everything to do with fucking Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I didn't feel like arguing with that dude anymore. Life's too short. I want to see my children.
He said he shows up late, he argues, but he also fucking took a shot where he was like, and he didn't even work out before the movie began. That's
Those tank tops are unforgiving.
I guess, man. I guess when the part of your job is to look the part, I guess they can make that statement. But yeah, as it turns out, Vin Diesel, not the easiest person to work with. The Rock wasn't lying.
No,
I think we all now smell what the Rock was cooking. We smelled it then, but now we've tasted it, perhaps.
We have indeed. And that's all for the news. Good night and good luck.
Is that literally all the news we got?
That is not all the news we have. We spoke previously before about the Warner Brothers Discovery folks beginning to prune the trees that may have, in their minds, overgrown a bit. And some of the pruning fell on the CW, specifically their DC shows. And the CW has canceled Legends of Tomorrow after 7 seasons and Batwoman after 3.
This is me pouring one out for those shows. You know, a miracle that either of them ever got made, considering, like, you know, the big franchises were Arrow, Supergirl, and Flash. These are, you know, not even top tier superhero characters, but CW managed to turn them into top tier superhero characters. But like, if you had told me 20 years ago, like one day they're going to make a show based on Batwoman, I'm like, oh, in what universe is that? And Legends of Tomorrow as well, like, was a very unlikely show that wasn't based on a previous property, just kind of pulled together and whatnot, and held together by spit and glue for how many seasons?
110 episodes over 7 seasons.
Damned impressive stuff, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Shame to see them both go, but it's also the bellwether of an end of an era, man. Like, seems like Flash is wrapping up next.
Yeah, I mean, Superman and Lois seems to be, you know, at the moment kind of holding the flag along with Flash. And they've got Gotham Knights as a pilot in development for next season. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like we're not going to have any superhero content out of the DC universe on television. But yeah, the glory days of like 5 DC TV shows on at once feel like they're behind us.
Greg Berlanti, man. There's a guy who could fucking run the fucking DC extended universe. He's already had a trial run on TV. Let him let him be the Kevin Feige of that shit.
Then he would have to somehow put the other 21 shows.
We keep naming dudes. What about what woman can run DC extended universe?
You know, I think if Gail Simone decided she had some feelings about that.
Excellent suggestion. There you go. In a world where, like, we don't want a rock star, we just want somebody who's legit good at the job.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not like Kevin Feige was like, God, that's the sexiest fucking executive in the business. He was just very good at the job.
Yeah, Gail Simone would be great. Kelly Sue DeConnick would be great. G. Willow Wilson would be great. Yeah, like there's a handful of both men and women who could do that job and do it well. So we'll see. We'll see. Buried in the news of the CW cancellations was the bit that apparently Warner Brothers Discovery, and who shares the CW with Paramount and Global, are thinking about selling the CW. And which I didn't know was even a thing that could happen, let alone might happen. But it seems as if neither of them want to hold on to a linear terrestrial network anymore, not with streaming being where it's at. So that also throws all that stuff into disarray.
And CW might become a completely different network. Like, just because they buy it doesn't mean that it's like, and it's still the CW. They might turn it into like a fucking financial network, a news network, or something like that.
Yeah, could be anything but what it is if they wanted it to be.
Could be what it could be, Mark, is the end of an era.
Indeed. Au revoir, CW.
To be continued. What else we got?
A tiny news item about release dates, switcheroos, that the Marvels and Ant-Man 3 are swapping their release dates.
So which one are we getting first?
Let's see. The one we're going to get first is now Quantumania, which will open on February 17th, 2023.
That means Kang.
Kang is coming.
We're getting Kang earlier than we were supposed to. We're going to pre-Kang all over ourselves. That's awesome, man. And not that I don't look forward to the Marvels, but I was down with the Kang storyline when it just stopped at the end of Loki. So I'm like, get back to that.
Yeah. So that's now coming in February.
Remember they did the statue where he fucking looks like him from the comics and shit?
Yep. Yeah, baby.
Speaking of fucking Marvel shows, tonight, in like 2.5 hours, they dropped the last episode of Moon Knight.
They do.
I don't know how the fuck they're gonna tie that up in 45 minutes. The last episode was absolutely the best and a high water mark for me for Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios has always been good at playing an emotional note. Whether it be, fucking Peter's mom reaching out for his saying, Peter, give me your hand in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I just got emotional doing that. They can nail emotional moments. What they did in the last episode of fucking Moon Knight, what Oscar Isaacs did, motherfucker, give this guy 2 acting awards for that one episode alone, because he's given 2 completely distinctly different and amazing performances. And where they took the character and the storyline was just fantastic and brave and meaningful. I loved it. I thought the last episode just fucking rocked, man. But as I watched it, I'm like, how the fuck do you wrap this up with 1 episode to go, man? It's like they opened up a whole fucking can of worms in this episode, and they're like, nah, we'll get it done by next episode. So I'm gonna stay awake. Normally I get up in the morning and watch it, but I'm gonna wait till midnight because I gotta see what the fuck's going on, man. What'd you think of it?
It felt to me a bit like that episode of Boba Fett where it suddenly became The Mandalorian, where it's like, oh, this is a great episode of television inside of a series that I don't know if it knows what it's doing anymore. Because that hour of Moon Knight was really strong. Like, again, Oscar Isaac is doing some great stuff. The whole like boat on the sands and going into the reeds of the afterlife, and your hippo goddess who's super fun, and the way they sort of wean and dip in and out of all these memory bits, like that's all great. But the show had been about Amit being resurrected from the beyond, who's going to somehow trigger the death of half of humanity. And that threat seems entirely absent from the show at this point. Like, it's not in any way about what it was about. And I suppose that's okay, but I invested quite a bit of time in that. And like, oh, all right, this is what the show's about. This is the big threat. This is the big bad. And then we don't engage with it at all in the penultimate episode of the season, which again was fun and strong. But I'm like, what? How does this? Where are we? Huh?
I've seen a few people reference a episode of Buffy. Do you know what they're talking about?
Yeah, I want to say that, yeah, there was an episode of Buffy where
Buffy episode from season 6 called Normal Again, Chris Buka Taylor says.
Yeah, which is all about her being in therapy and somebody trying to convince her that the life that her life as a vampire slayer is a manifestation of her own internal trauma, that it's not real.
Oh, so they did the Hugo Strange story.
Yeah, a bit. And
why, if they're doing the Hugo Strange story, Mark, why do they call it the Buffy story? just curious.
It's an homage, Kevin.
I see.
Yeah, and so that kind of, and Lost was also very much about, trauma manifesting as reality and whether or not those things are functional and operative for characters going forward. And so, like, yeah, I dig it. I think some of it is the function of feature filmmakers coming to television without really understanding how television pace works. and how plotting works and how to carry those balls forward, how to keep them all in the air at the same time, and how to give you episodes that each of them have a certain amount of tonnage that you're delivering, as opposed to just kind of like pulling the taffy a bit until like, because if this was a movie, this would be your big, like the end of your second act. Your hero's at his lowest point is about to crest into being the guy you want him to be at the end. It's John McClane pulling glass out of his feet. It's, you know, after Ellis gets shot. It's all of those things. We all know it. It's Luke Skywalker getting his hand cut off. It's like, where do we go from here? What's the other side of that? But to get to it so late in the show, to only have another 45 minutes to wrap up all of these plot lines and hoping that it's going to land emotionally, as emotional as this episode was, is a tough nut to crack unless you've been playing and dealing and meeting out this story incrementally over time. So I'm curious, I'm hopeful, but I'm also a little tentative.
Well, I liked it.
As well we should.
And there it is, kids. Once again, Mark and I
on the same page
and are exactly on the same page.
Yeah. I think you figured out why you don't get invited to Marvel things anymore. It's because you're hitched your wagon to my star, buddy, my depressing, bleak as fuck
honestly,
star.
if that was the reason, I'd be like, all right, that's legit. Because
hey, Mark, I'm going to the premiere. Fuck off.
Or no, but like I would get it, and I'd be like, well, like, it's more important to me to be friends with fucking Mark than it is to go to your movie premiere. But I don't think that's it.
No.
Maybe we're just a non-factor, dude. Maybe nobody knows about this show. Maybe you and I are sitting in therapy in some fucking office where a doctor's like, you believe that you're podcasters with a hit YouTube show where you talk about pop culture, but really you're not.
Well, I will say that at least some people at Marvel know who we are. I was on a Zoom probably about 3 or 4 months ago. No, yeah, it was like mid-February with a director of a certain Marvel film, which may or may not have taken place in a fantastical, potentially mystical African jungle nation. And he said, I watch your podcast sometime. It's pretty cool. It's pretty dope. I like what you and Kevin are doing on that. And I was like, oh, thank you. That means the world to me, sir.
And it was somebody reputable or just somebody?
It was the director of said movie.
Really?
Really?
So they know who we are.
At least one of them does. And I'm like, if he knows who we are, other people must know who we are.
So we got that going for, and still we don't get invited to premieres. What are we doing wrong? I honestly, like, I don't want to go to premieres as much as I would just like to see the movie.
Screening.
Yeah, like give us a fucking screen. Let us go see it with the fucking press. We'll work the room and be like, hey, what about them donuts? Hey, fucking hope this ain't a dark world. You know what I'm saying? Hey. Just kidding. Everything Marvel does is great.
What about them donuts?
Oh, good Lord. One day.
Yeah.
All right.
Bamf.
So, Bamf Man,
Now.
structure the show for us. What's going on? Why aren't you fucking getting the bar ready for May the 4th, man?
I hired people to do that.
Oh, there it is.
And I was there all day, which I'll tell a quick story before I talk about Moon Knight for a minute. I've had Jocelyn down at the bar the last 2 days getting stuff set up. And we have
Jocelyn, for those that don't follow that closely, is Bamf Man's little kid, Bamf Baby, if you will.
Bamf Baby, who's 18 months old. She's just starting to talk. And I'm more of a Baby Yoda household. Like, I refer to the little thing as Baby Yoda. We walk into the bar and we have a Baby Yoda behind the bar, like on the center island there. And she walks in and she goes, "Oh, hi, Grogu." The kid
Well, those are first words.
she knows Grogu. Everybody, she's 18 months old. She knows Grogu.
Did you roll a camera on that?
I didn't get it. It was so funny, though.
You fucking dummy. God damn it. What a missed opportunity. You should just be rolling cameras 24/7 in your house, dude.
just put some mocap shit just hanging off of her head so you get everything.
That's right. Make her look like fucking Gollum and shit when he's on that. Cameras everywhere, following her every movement. When they start talking, that's when things get electric.
It's fun. It's really fun. But
Very, very
did you
cool.
guys see
Yes.
the Marvel Studios tweet about Moon Knight?
No.
I guess earlier in the day, they tweeted something that said, this Wednesday, experience the epic series finale of Marvel Studios' Moon Knight on Disney+. Which 15 minutes later, it was deleted and retweeted as, this Wednesday, experience the epic season finale. So they changed it from series to season.
I bet
as
you
if
they
nobody
did
would
that.
catch them.
I bet you they did that because whoever tweeted it first just put up season finale, and then somebody was like, "Oh my god!" Like, or series finale, and they were like, "Oh my god, that's going to make it seem like it's over." And they were like, "Oh shit, you're right." And they went to season and said, "I don't think it's like we're trying to keep this under the fucking covers." But I mean, who knows? I'm so curious. As much as I'm curious because I love the storyline, I can't wait to see what else Oscar Isaac does. I'm so curious how the fuck you stick the landing this with 40 minutes, 45 minutes to go. It's not even one of their longer like season finales. It's on the shorter side. So I hope they do it, but it could be that this is it. Could be it's a one and done like WandaVision.
Yeah, because it does feel as if, if you have Oscar Isaac, then you have big plans for Moon Knight. And if you've got a Blade movie coming, and if you've got Multiverse of Madness happening, and if you're in Marvel's horror phase, then it seems like this guy wants to be a bigger player in whatever that phase is. And so, yeah, potentially there is no second season. It just springs into the movies from here.
Just like Wanda, she ain't ever going back to the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's going to be a Falcon Winter Soldier season 2 because they're making a Captain America 4.
Yeah, good point. Like, why would you need to?
Yeah.
All right. Well, fuck. I guess we got done. Are we done with the news?
We have one more real story and then one more just sort of coda to a thing we covered before. The real story is Frank Miller, legendary comic book artist, writer, producer, inker, cartoonist, is launching his own publishing banner.
Hey, good for him.
Named Frank Miller Presents, the company will have the writer-artist behind Dark Knight Returns, Sin City 300, acting as president and editor-in-chief, with the goal of creating and curating a line of comics that hopes to capture Miller's distinct visual style, while also working with a range of talent from comics veterans to rising artists. Dan DiDio, who had been the co-publisher of DC from 2010 to 2020, will now be the publisher at Frank Miller Presents.
Good old Dan DiDio.
Indeed. And part of what they're going to put out as their launch announcement is a new Sin City comic and a return to Ronin, the sci-fi samurai book that he did for DC back in the day. So more Frank Miller, not a bad thing.
I saw him rolling around one of the cons recently. I think it was Philadelphia.
How do you look? Like Frank Miller.
Yeah, Frank Miller. He's had some health things, but he's still above ground. Still working.
That's all we're looking for. And I guess the last comic book story is the passing of Neil Adams, which you did drop a lovely sort of 6-hour-long collection of interviews.
The great Neil Adams passed a couple days ago at age 80, I believe. A titan, fucking, there's a Mount Rushmore of fucking Batman. He's on it. If there's a Mount Rushmore of fucking creators, of artists, legends, DC, Marvel, it doesn't matter. He's up there. It was, I got to do podcasts with him on 2 occasions. One was like 3 hours. The other was like 2. And then I also got him onto Comic Book Men as well. But we took those 5 hours because all the old podcasts, like all the Fat Man on Batmans, are at thatkevinsmithclub.com. So if you're not a member, you can't get to them. So we took the chunk, all the Neil podcasts, and I recorded an intro. We put them together and released it for everybody to download and listen to. What a fucking amazing storyteller this cat was. You think he was a storyteller, a great storyteller, like with fucking pen and ink. This guy's, he put the rack in Raconteur, man. He was absolutely lovely. Go listen to that podcast, kids. And, you know, we'll sit here and we'll wax rhapsodically about a legend. But if you listen to those episodes, and it's just up now in podcast form, I think it was the Fat Man Beyond episode just prior to this one. You'll hear him speak for himself, and he was absolutely lovely. He drew heroes, and he was a hero. He didn't just walk the walk or talk the talk. He walked the walk. He's the guy that got Siegel and Schuster fucking paid finally from DC, from their corporate parent Warner Brothers, when Superman was coming out, amongst many other things. The dude was an absolute fucking legend, man. Not to mention the artists of the very first Batman comic book cover I ever saw in my life. That issue of Detective of the giant Joker looming over Gotham, holding the playing card, and Batman pinned to it. I always forget the number. I got to look that up and memorize it. I'm sure someone in chat will tell me what it is, but man, this cat was absolutely lovely, and I'm lucky to have met him. I was lucky to spend time with him. I was lucky to live in the same existence where I saw the drawings this fucking man did. But because of this podcasting shit, which I've been doing since 2007, I was lucky enough to sit down with him, really pick his fucking brain and hang out with him and hear those stories. Absolutely lovely, lovely man, a talented genius, huge loss for the world. Great fucking guy.
Yeah, there's a really nice obituary from
Batman 251. They're telling me.
Nice.
Joker's 5-way revenge.
Yeah, there's a really good obit in the Hollywood Reporter that Boris Kitt wrote, and he had a quote from Neil's son Josh, which was, "It wasn't until I sat at tables at conventions next to the same people I would watch treat my father with such reverence that I understood too he was their father. Neil Adams' most undeniable quality was the one I had known about in my entire life. He was a father, not just my father, but a father to all who would get to know him." It's like, that's very sweet.
Very sweet. That I got a little moist eyed on that one. That's it's true. I would say it's absolutely true. He did come across very paternal.
Yeah.
Great guy.
He said further, "My father was a force. His career was defined by an unparalleled artistic talent and an unwavering character that drove him to constantly fight for his peers and those in need, who would become known in the comics industry as one of the most influential creators of all time and a champion of social and creators' rights. When he saw a problem, he wouldn't hesitate. What would become tales told and retold of the fights he fought were born out of my father simply seeing something wrong as he walked through the halls of Marvel and DC and deciding to do something right about it then and there."
Doug Unfunny in chat says Neil died from complications from sepsis. 80, which
80.
You know, is not that old, man. Like Daniel Russell said, he reviewed my portfolio once and ripped me a new one and pushed me into self-publishing. Yeah, damn, man. Sucks that we lose that guy.
He's a titan.
Was an absolute titan. That means the two titanic talents behind the epic hard traveling heroes storylines, Green Arrow and Green Lantern, are now both passed. That was Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, right? The whole run.
Yeah.
I've talked to both of them for Fat Man Beyond. Wonderful, wonderful people. Well, rest in peace, Neil. Thank you for your time, your talent. Thank you for making us believe in this shit, believe in superheroes. Thanks for drawing them so fucking wickedly. And thank you for always preaching the gospel. He sold the game his whole life. He never turned his back on comics. Great fucking dude.
Yeah, and you know, doing what he did for Siegel and Schuster, making sure that they got some money. They got a pension from DC Warner Brothers for their work.
This is a guy who recognized, like, we're in the superhero business, and they created the original superhero. Like, they're chairman emeritus of this fucking bitch. Give them what's right, man. Don't matter that they did it as a work for hire. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You're about to open a movie that's going to make millions of dollars. And he shamed them into fucking backing, you know, and backing down and giving fucking money to the guys who literally birthed the superheroics genre. No superheroes before Superman, kids. So Neil made sure that the person responsible for every fucking story you love at the root of it got their eventual due after decades of poor treatment.
Yeah.
That's a fucking hero, man. He could draw him, and he was one. Neil Adams, Jeff's kiss. Big bucket of win, as we say on Babylon.
Indeed. That's the news, my friend.
There it is, man. There's the news, ladies and gentlemen. Mark brought you the news. That's going to bring us to the second half of our show, which there's another ad, kids.
There is indeed. The good folks at Native. You've heard us talk about how much we love Native. The thoughtful formulation behind their product is something that we have always loved because they understand that it's not just what's on the inside that counts, but on the outside. That's why Native is releasing their deodorant that I know and love, that we know and love, in new and improved plastic-free packaging.
Native kids, these folks have been sponsors of Fat Man Beyond for a while now, and we're big fans of Native. I literally see Native products every day in my shower, and not because they send them to me for free, because, as I've reported many times, my wife uses them. We went away. It was weird. We went away for like a week and came back, and all her Native products were gone. And we honestly can't figure out what the fuck happened to them. So she went out and quickly replaced them. Follow along with us at nativedeo.com/fatman. That's nativedeo.com/fatman, man, where you could use the promo code fatman at checkout and get 20% off your first order. That's nativedeo.com/fatman, and use promo code fatman at checkout for 20% off your first order. But these Native cats make a fine fucking product, man. It's all natural and shit, vegan even. So if you're one of those weird vegan people like myself, you could use the product proudly or eat it. I don't suggest doing that. And Native tells us every week, please stop fucking doing that. It's not funny. And B, it's just not right. You can't eat this shit. I'm like, yeah, well then you shouldn't make it taste so fucking good. It shouldn't smell like cookies and candy canes like during the holidays. What flavors are they doing now, Mark?
Let's see. Now you can choose from 10 cents, including their classic coconut and vanilla.
10 cents. This shit's worth at least $1. Take it back. Thank you.
Yes. They got tie-dye vanilla cupcake, mint cookie cupcake, fresh peach cupcake, very much about the cupcakes, and ginger lemonade cupcake. That's some delicious fucking deodorant.
Who don't want to fucking smell like that? Why do you want to smell bad, you smelly piece of shit? Go to nativedeo.com/fatman. Get some of that tasty smelling shit all over your body, man. Your head, your hair. You wash your naked parts with it. It's good times, man. Sphincter. Well, that's too deep. Your asshole.
Get that taint smelling right.
Yeah, man. Keep it fresh with Native. Taint yours and taint mine. It's Natives. That little strip of land right between the areas belongs to Native. That's Native country. You've heard of
like a cupcake.
You've heard of Marlboro country. This is Native country. It's down there. It's very small. It's like New Zealand. It's below Australia. The whole metaphor is falling apart. The point is this, kids. nativedeo.com/fatman. You make an order, they can give you 20% off. That's how good these people are. Not only do they make a fine fucking product that smells amazing, they're going to give you a little loot off, man, for being a first-time customer and shit. Go to nativedeo.com/fatman, kids, and do some business with our friends over at Native. Show them your love, the way they show us love all the time by doing an ad right here on Fat Man Beyond. One longest sponsor I think we've ever had.
I think you're right. So yeah, tain't misbehaving with Native. DEO.com.
They got to hire you as a copywriter.
Do you need more puns, good folks at Native?
We thank the good folks at Native for continued sponsorship of Fat Man Beyond. Right now, whoever does the breakdown of the video, they'll put in this time as like getting past the fucking ad and shit.
Yep.
Somebody always breaks the video down and says when we start doing shit.
Time code. Skip the ad.
So you can skip right to that shit. I saw somebody tweeted when I was like, hey, we're going to be live at 8:30. They were like, well, I like to skip through it. And I was like, skip through it?
How dare you?
Yeah, what the fuck? We're giving you the best that we got, man. Like fucking Anita Baker. All the fucking finger on the pulse pop cultural references, kid.
Do you have an 80s chanteuse on your mind?
Well, then we will give you sweet love. All right, man. All right, Bamf, man. You gotta say his name 3 times so he shows up. Bamf man, Bamf man, Bamf man.
Bamf.
There he is, just like Beetlejuice or fucking Bloody Mary. We need to hear some questions so that we can provide some answers. Clearly, I'm a little bit bakey, so we're gonna get some good answers.
He's giving us the best that he's got. Baby.
I really like this one. This is by Leo Hale, who asked, which superhero would you guys have Mel Brooks create a movie of?
Number 1, all hail Leo. Such a great question. Number 2, I'm all cottonmouth dry. I'm gonna go get a water, so you answer this one and I'll come back and do second.
All right. Who would I like Mel Brooks? Ooh. Go get your fucking head on. Go get your shine box, spider, you prick, you. I feel like I wanted, you know who I want Mel Brooks to make a movie of? Ben Grimm. I want a Ben Grimm solo movie because Ben Grimm is one of a handful of Jewish superheroes. And I think that there's actually quite a bit of comedy that you can play in Ben Grimm. There's a bit of tragedy you can play in Ben Grimm. And I think that we often forget that Mel Brooks, while also being, one of the finest comedy actors in the world, knew quite a bit about drama and quite a bit about pathos. I mean, he was the producer of The Elephant Man, for Christ's sake. He knows how that shit works. So yeah, I would want a Clobber in Time solo picture written and directed by Mel Brooks.
Excellent call. I'm gonna go with the J.M. DeMatteis, Keith Giffen Justice League.
Nice.
Give him the big guns and let him be funny. I want the Justice League equivalent of "It's Good to Be the King."
Rip Hunter. The Adventures of Rip Hunter Through Time, done as like History of the World Part 3.
That was a great question and great answers. And we close up by saying, "May the Schwartz be with you." Merchandise.
Wow. This is the stoneriest, 80s-ist version of this podcast.
I smoked away the 90s, Mark. I took us right back to the 80s. All right, Banff man, we did our job. Now you do yours. Banff on back here and give us another question.
Okay.
Rapture of you.
Second question. Shelby Baby 27 wants to know, if you could grant an honorary Oscar to any movie, what movie would you choose and why?
What a great question.
An honorary Oscar.
I'm going to go with an obvious answer just because this week I'm on a podcast Blank Check Pod, Blank Check Podcast, the Blank Check Podcast. Griffin Newman, who plays our Orko in Masters of the Universe, he does a podcast with his buddy where they talk about a director's career, and they'll do every movie, an episode like for every movie the director does. And the idea is a blank, the director did a movie that was so successful that they were given a blank check for the rest of their career, right? To do whatever movies they want, and what they did with that blank check. So they've been doing Sam Raimi, and Raimi's made a lot of movies, so they've been doing them for a while. And Griffin had asked me at one point, he's like, do you want to come on the show? And I was like, I would love to. And he said, great, you could do Spider-Man when we get to Spider-Man. I was like, I don't want to do Spider-Man. He goes, really? I was like, yeah, if I'm going to do a Raimi film, I want to do it's one of my favorite films, not just Raimi films, but one of my favorite films ever, A Simple Plan. And he was like, holy shit, if you want to do A Simple Plan, absolutely. So I'm on their show this week, like doing Sam Raimi's A Simple Plan. So it's fresh in my mind, but I'll echo it. Simple Plan is an amazing fucking motion picture. It's very relevant because, Doctor Strange is opening in 10 minutes or whatever the fuck. And this was Raimi when Raimi was trying to break away from Raimi. This was Raimi's Jersey Girl, so to speak. When I made Jersey Girl, it's like Kevin Smith trying to not make a Kevin Smith movie. Good luck fucking selling that. So this was like Raimi without any of the signature shit. There's like maybe 2 shots in the whole movie where you're like, well, that's kind of Raimi-esque. Somebody gets shot by a shotgun and they do fly an awfully far away. That you probably wouldn't have seen in a drama directed by anyone else. This is a drama for sure, man, a mystery about like what happens to this a trio in the small town when they find a bunch of money on a downed plane out in the middle of the woods. It's an amazing character study. Bill Paxton is your lead. He's married to Bridget Fonda, but the real star of the show is Billy Bob Thornton, who is, for my money, gives one of the single best performances ever given in a motion picture. So much so that it stops being a performance, transcends into the place of like, that is a person that fucking really exists, and they just happen to put him in this movie. This is a movie that when it came out, we talked about it on the show, their podcast, and I can't remember what beat it, but there was some stiff competition the year that the Oscars came out. It definitely got some nods, but it's a masterwork. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a great movie for married couples or couples in general, because then afterwards you're like, what would you do? Who do you blame? That sort of thing. I would pick that one, and I would give it like a Best Picture Academy Award in retrospect. I'd give it Best Picture, I'd give it Screenplay, and I'd give Billy Bob Thornton Best Actor. Well, Best Supporting, because he was technically a supporting performance. Yeah, that's my answer. What do you got?
I got 2, unless you're going to make me pick one, but I'm going to pick 2. The first is a movie that I saw last weekend at the New Beverly Cinema here in Los Angeles, which is Quentin Tarantino's repertory house, in which there's rarely a first-run movie unless it's one of his or a director buddy of his. Like I think, Last Night in Soho played there for a couple of weeks because he and Edgar Wright are pretty close. But I got to go see Aliens, James Cameron's sequel to the Ridley Scott 1979 picture Alien.
Amazing movie.
Aliens is a perfect movie. Like it fires on every cylinder. It's emotional, it's full of tension, it's action-packed, every character in there and what they're about. You're never at a want for what's happening, even though there's supposed to be mystery and things to solve and understand. But it's just this perfect masterwork of an action movie that, because it's an action movie and because it's science fiction, was never going to get any love at the Oscars outside of some technical achievement. But my God, it all works. Like Sigourney Weaver is doing fantastic work as Ripley. I mean, Bill Paxton is fucking awesome. Lance Henriksen is awesome. Like there's, if you've ever seen that movie, it's good. But seeing it on the big screen again just reignited my love for it. So I would give that a bunch of shit. At the very least, an adapted screenplay, which is probably what it would get, given that it's a sequel. Sigourney probably, if she didn't get, which I don't think she did get a Best Actress nomination, but she should have won it because she's fantastic. And Best Direction. I think James Cameron is a master at that. If it's not Aliens, Midnight Run. Midnight Run it's one of the best comedies of the 1980s, if not one of the best comedies of the latter part of the 20th century. And Robert De Niro, Charles Grodin, it's De Niro's first real out and out comic performance, even though he's a bit of a straight man. But it's just so much fun, and it's so well executed. And the Oscars never, ever, ever reward comedy in any real fundamental way. And that similarly is a perfect movie. Martin Brest, who directed it, made two of the best films of the 1980s. He did Beverly Hills Cop, and then he did Midnight Run. And those two are just signal works of what those kind of movies were.
He also did Meet Joe Black. So he's the one that killed Brad Pitt with the cab in that clip that pops up on Twitter periodically. And I believe I don't know if it's his last film, but the movie that put him in movie jail for a while was, of course, Gigli.
Yeah.
That was Marty Brest as well. Scent of a Woman was Marty Brest.
He had a run until he didn't.
Yeah.
And then that run stopped. Which is too bad, because he was, for a good 4 or 5 movies there, one of the best to ever do it. And Gigli was his last movie in 2003. It's such a shame.
Right? He hasn't made it since then.
Yeah.
That one.
He's made 7 features. Hot Tomorrows in 77, Going in Style in 79, Beverly Hills Cop in 84, Midnight Run in 88, Scent of a Woman in 92, Meet Joe Black in 98, and then Gigli in 2003, and then vanished off the face of the planet. Which is a shame, because an incredibly talented guy who really had an ear for comedy and character and had the trust of a lot of really talented actors who would, bend over backwards for a Marty Brest picture. So Midnight Run.
It's an excellent poll. The first two we picked, though, both had Bill Paxton in them.
Because Paxton is the lucky charm.
That's true, man. That's true. He's missed.
Very much so.
Pour one out for the great, long gone Bill Paxton.
Put her in charge.
Why don't you put her in charge?
You mean they cut the Power Man to fucking animals?
I'm Hudson, sir. He's Hicks.
What's your question, Private? How do we get out of this chicken shit outfit?
I love you, Wyatt. Okay, that's the second question.
Indeed, one more.
I would get in big trouble if I didn't mention Star Wars getting an Oscar nod.
Excellent point.
Everybody loves Annie Hall, but there's not a fucking holiday for Annie Hall.
True.
And that's what
now,
Star Wars
nowadays it's nobody. You're hard pressed to say everybody likes Annie Hall. No, not really. In that world, I would give Empire Strikes Back one more than Star Wars. Even Empire Strikes Back is a fucking perfect motion picture that nobody has been able to top in that whole Star Wars fucking pantheon. Man, that movie is fantastic. Just you don't even have to like Star Wars to like that movie. It's just well crafted, great flick.
I mean, to be fair, it was nominated for a bunch of shit.
What was
Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Star Wars was.
It was nominated for Best Picture and Best Director and Best Actor,
but it didn't get
role and Best Writing.
It only got VFX, I think, and sound.
It won Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Sound, Film Editing, Visual Effects, and Music. So, it wasn't ignored.
But it's still, I mean, Best
Picture.
Of
all of the movies, it's like, well...
But yes. Yeah, they ignored Best Picture and Director, and he got nominated, but,
Yeah. Should have won. Should have won, damn it.
It should have won. All right, last question. Mike Miller said, if each of you could pick a biography. Let's try this again. If each of you could pick a flick to do that was a biography, who would you do a biography of?
Stan Lee.
Ooh, good call.
Stan Lee would make an amazing biopic. Stan Lee. After that, George Carlin. But definitely Stan Lee. I don't think I'm talented enough to tell that story, though. I think I'm only good enough to like do the Kevin Smith biopic. But if somebody was like, here's a blank check, and you can do whatever you want, I think I would, as far as biopics go, I think I would try to go with Stan Lee. What about you, Captain?
That's a fine question. Because you want it to be a person like Stanley's a great pull because he's emotional to us and means quite a bit to us. I'm trying to think of a person who in sort of my upbringing was seminal. Part of me thinks that like there'd be a really good Jim Henson biopic in there, along the same lines of like the Mr. Rogers stuff of like, here's a guy who created your childhood. Who had his own like wants and needs and his, was a human at the end of the day. But, here's a guy who out of literally whole cloth created wonders and inspires people to continue creating wonders. And there's something about those dreamers that, we that should never go unheralded. So yeah, I think Jim Henson, like he's a dude who just made fucking magic. Similarly, I think that there's also, it's not a single person biopic, but the days that I think Peter Biskin wrote in the Easy Riders Raging Bulls book about like the filmmakers of the 1970s, like that cluster of Coppola and Friedkin and Scorsese and Lucas and Spielberg, these young tyrants who came out of film school, who within a couple of years just swept through Hollywood and we imagined it and refashioned it into a thing that could work for them, and the idea that you can follow, it's a bit like, I don't know if you're watching Winning Time, the HBO show about the Showtime Lakers. Did not think you might be, given all the things that I know about you, but it is like, here's the backstory of a basketball team that changed the way the game was played and changed and rescued what was then a dying sport and turned it into a moneymaker and turned it into, for a long while, the dominant sport in America. But just how you got there. Like, here are the players, here are the people. Here's young Magic Johnson, here's young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, here's the young owner of the team that nobody had any faith in, who was just a fucking land developer who bought the Lakers because he had a vision for it, for hot girls and sex on the court and all that stuff. And to be able to follow these 5 or 6 young men, and to a certain degree, the women who they were involved with, because George Lucas is not the filmmaker that he would come to be without Marcia Lucas, who in very great ways shaped the Star Wars that we know and the Raiders that we know. But how they built the blockbuster, they created the modern form of movies that we all sort of know and love, and what they had to do that. How Coppola almost went crazy in the jungle making Apocalypse Now, how Francis almost bankrupted a studio making The Godfather, how George, kept the 2 most meaningless rights in the world from 20th Century Fox, sequels and merchandise, and then built a dynasty. Like, all of that stuff is fascinating, and they were all on the edge of catastrophe until they weren't. How Spielberg was in the middle of fucking the Atlantic Ocean trying to make a fake shark work that nobody thought would work until he created the first blockbuster in the history of the world. Like, it's the arc of that story is fascinating, and to then be able to go back and see who they were and how they got where they went would also be kind of great.
Are you watching The Offer on Paramount Plus?
I haven't yet. It's on the list. Have you seen any of it yet?
I watched the first episode. Like, it's fun, to do the hey, basically it's like the fucking Leonardo DiCaprio fucking screen, like, oh my God, that's You know, but worth watching if you got it. If you got Paramount Plus, if you're already watching Star Trek, fucking check it out.
Right.
Dan Fogler is great in it. He plays Coppola,
Mm.
and he's doing a great fucking job. Out of CinemaCon, they had a trailer for Don't Worry, Darling. Is that what it's called? Did you watch it yet?
I haven't. It's the Olivia Wilde movie, right?
Fucking stunning.
Mm.
It looks gorgeous. This woman is legit, man. Like, I loved Booksmart and shit, but this movie looks fantastic, like stunning. And it looks like a fucking cool flick, man. Like, I didn't know what it was about at all, and I'm still not quite sure, but like there's conspiracy in it and shit. It's
Oh, that's dope.
trailer. It's really good. Now they released, I think somebody said there was an Avatar 2 trailer.
I saw the leak of it. Like somebody was like literally in a theater and just took the fucking like phone cam of it. You can see the exit sign from the theater swing into the frame every now and again.
Nice.
So it's hard to judge on, you know, like the film quality of a Viewmaster, what I'm sure James Cameron has spent the last 10 years refining into within an inch of its digital glory. And there's almost no dialogue. It's just lots of things, you know, Blue Kitten's doing cuts of cool Blue Kitten shit. So it's really hard to judge. But yeah, I don't know, man. I still remain skeptical that anybody will care about Avatar by December enough to make it worth 4 more of these things.
Did I said Fogler, didn't I? I said Dan
Yes.
Fogler.
Yeah.
Somebody said Matthew Robarge in chat said LOL Dan Fogelberg. No, I said Fogler. Pretty sure I said Fogler.
I heard Fogler.
Thank you. Robbie, not the robots in chat says Ruth Buzzy for the next Aunt May. Deep cuts. Wow. You think I went back with the 80s? This motherfucker went back to the 70s to pull a joke.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Ruth Buzzy dead?
No, very much alive and has a Twitter account. Tweets all the time.
Shut up.
Tweets jokes. They're jokes that, you know, every once in a while she slips a dirty one in there, but they're totally jokes that you could share with your mom.
I heard this story. Maybe it's a thing that you knew, but I didn't. Is that Robin Williams, back when he was alive, was a notorious, and this is all hearsay, I don't want to slander anybody or whatever, but that he was known within the stand-up comedy world as a guy who would, you know, visit comedy clubs because he loved comedy, but because when he would get on stage, he was also impulsive and none of it was planned, and all of it was, he would feel his way through, but lots of times he would appropriate jokes that he had heard on stage and make it part of his act, because he just like, it was in the world and I didn't know where it came from, but I know that I heard it or whatever. I didn't even, and he would just say the joke. And so he would always he would go to the Comedy Store like every Tuesday or Wednesday night in LA and sit in the back of the room with a checkbook. And if you were a young comedian, you could go up to him and say, you know, Mr. Williams, you used one of my jokes in your act, and he would write you a check, because he knew it was probably true. And even if it wasn't true, it was worth it to just like, if you think it was yours, here's your check. I bought your joke. And now you can tell the story that you wrote a joke for Robin Williams for the rest of your life.
I wonder how much the check was for.
I think it's like $500 or something like that, you know, $750, which in 1977, like not a bad rate for writing one joke for a comedian. There were guys who do, you know, $30 or $40 to write jokes for Milton Berle, but I was like, I both find that adorable and sympathetic, which here's a guy whose gift was such that he didn't know where it was coming from, but it came so fast he could barely keep control of it, and realized that there was some collateral damage, and so would do what he could to ameliorate it, to make sure that everybody felt all right about it.
Have you seen the Weird Al trailer yet?
I saw stills from it, but I didn't get a chance to see it.
I saw it still as well. Didn't he look convincing?
Like, I did not think this was a thing that was going to work, but then you see the still, you're like, you know, all right. Okay, Weird Al, let's see what you got.
Bravo, Roku. Okay, let's see. Somebody pointed out that who Huskworks points out in chat, Matthew Robarge, first off, wasn't saying Dan Fogelberg to me. He was saying to somebody in chat.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw a conversation. I came into mid-conversation. Matthew Robarge says, that's twice that I think that's twice Kev only notices me when it's out of context. My hero thinks I'm a jerk. I do not think you're a jerk. But Tigershire W in chat said, ooh, I used to love Ruth Buzzy and Jim Neighbors and the Lost Saucer. Remember that shit?
Wow.
The Lost Saucer, where they played androids.
Mm-hmm.
The kids were on the fucking flying saucer with them and shit. We're going in the Lost Saucer. Banff Man. Was that all three?
That's it.
We got no questions left? Shit. That's all we got for you this week, kids.
Indeed, my friend.
Tight show, man. Tight
We
show.
did it.
Not a fuck ton going on out there.
I know. 2 hours in and out. I'll take it.
If you want to see me this weekend, kids, come to New Jersey, Red Bank, Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash Silver Anniversary Bash, Saturday and Sunday. Tickets at csmod.com. Or the next weekend, I'm at the St. Louis Fan Expo. And the weekend after that, Orlando MegaCon. Where are you going to be?
If you're looking for me, I will, and you happen to be in the British Columbia part of Canada, I will be up at the Northern FanCon on May 12th through the 15th. I'm not sure if we ever talked about Michael Hogan, Colonel Ty from Ye Olde Battlestar Galactica, had a very bad stroke a couple of years back.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, and to the point where like he lost lots of body function and needed to be hospitalized and long-term care, and the recovery has been very slow, but there's been progress. But the good folks up at the Northern FanCon have built a Battlestar Galactica starfighter and are auctioning it off for charity to raise money for Michael Hogan. So if you go to the Northern FanCon website, it's up there. It's like fancon.ca for Canada. They're raising money. They'll give it away or sell it, or however they're going to disperse or dispense with this starship during the convention. But it's all going to a good cause. So check them out and see if you can help the Colonel get back on his feet.
Some people in chat are asking about Planet of the Apes 4. Did they announce that?
Was that at CinemaCon? Did that come out of like the 20th presentation or something?
Let's see. Let me see. Planet of the Apes 4. No. Planet of the Apes 4 is actually happening according to giantfreakingrobot.com. Here are the details from Nathan Kamal. After a long stretch interview in the Hollywood Reporter, according to the interview with 20th Century Fox president and the Hollywood Reporter, Planets of the Apes, Jesus, these pop-up ads. Planet of the Apes movie is incoming any day, a screenplay for it, and Wes Ball, the director of the Maze Runner series of films, is set to helm it. While the project has been in limbo since the last film in the series all the way back in 2017, continuity has always been a slippy thing with the Apes movies, so we would guess anything could happen as long as it involved intelligent simians overthrowing the planet. So they're not sure how much it ties in with the last one. Nobody knows anything. They just know that they want to do it. Well, there you go. You're gonna have another Planet of the Apes movie.
I had a meeting on that, like at this point now, 3 or 4 years ago, to see if I had a take on Planet of the Apes. And at the time, their plan was they did not want it to continue the Caesar story. They felt that Caesar and that whole cycle, the Matt Reeves, the last 2 Matt Reeves pictures, and then Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the first one, was its own thing. But they wanted to revisit the world and sort of restart the continuity, and specifically, what else does the rest of the country or the world look like outside of that particular story? Not sure if that's still the path that they took, but they were more than willing to sort of ground zero it and just start anew. Not to have to like do an origin story, but just we're in Ape World. What new story do we want to tell?
Well, shit, man.
Well, shit.
Like, we got news in at the last second. Now I'm just combing fucking comments looking for any last second news. No, we talked about Moon Knight. Yes, we talked about Neil Adams. Rest in peace, Neil. Yeah, no, we're good, kids. We're pretty current. Unless something happened just while we were doing this show, but I'm sure we would have heard about it in chat. Some people are asking if I was interviewed for the new George Carlin documentary on HBO. Yes, I absolutely was interviewed for it. I don't know if I'm in it or not. I wasn't in the trailer, so I can't vouch for whether I'm in it or not, but I was definitely interviewed for it. I think that's it, kids. Any love for Gilbert Gottfried? Did we not talk about Gilbert?
I feel like we did.
Well, it's not nothing but love for Gilbert Gottfried. I was heartbroken when he passed away. He was very funny. I met him once, and he was so not the guy that he was on stage. You know, and I watched the documentary recently, Gilbert, which is beautiful. It was made in the wake of, you know, he was the Aflac spokes duck, goose or whatever the fuck for a long time. And then he made some comments about the earthquake in Japan, and it got him canceled and fired and stuff. So the documentary was kind of made after that. And it was a gorgeous little snapshot into his real life. He was married and he had 2 kids, like just normal, like, but he did it kind of late in life. Sister was a famous photographer that took photographs. He has 2 sisters. They never got married. It's a really interesting documentary. But one of the things that stuck out with me the most is he's a road guy just like me. He's always packing a bag and going to a place and doing a comedy show or something like that. But he used to bring his own merch, and then after the show, he would sit in the lobby and sell the merch as people went out, like his DVDs or whatever. I was like, wow, man, that's commitment. Commitment when you're willing to sit there and sell the DVDs yourself and whatnot. But that's a wonderful documentary, and he was a very, very funny man, very gifted comedian. I remember him from those like early MTV commercials.
Yeah.
Like early on, yeah.
Part of that sort of Dennis Leary wave of we're selling the network with attitude.
Yes. And he was also like on SNL, that disastrous season of SNL as well.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yes. Yeah, the great Gilbert Gottfried, man. Rest in peace. Very, very sad that he had to go. And what did he die of?
I don't recall. I just remember there was the picture that I guess Gilbert had taken, some selfie was him, Louis Anderson, and Bob Saget.
Yeah.
And it's like within a couple of months, all of them passed.
And he posted that picture of him and
Yeah.
those guys. Oof. Yeah, somebody Sean Cisco pointed out Gilbert was in the Clerks cartoon. He was. I didn't get to work with him. I think he was recorded in New York and I wasn't there. I was on the phone or whatever. But I met him on another occasion. That's when I met the very quiet Gilbert Gottfried. But he played Patrick Swayze in our episode, the Outbreak episode of the Clerks cartoon. We went out to Patrick Swayze and he was like, I'm not doing this. So rather than change the part, we were like, let's get Gilbert Gottfried to do Patrick Swayze. Fucking great guy, man. Yeah, fuck. Another one gone. And somehow the world keeps turning. Don't make sense. You lose a titan like that, you imagine the fucking world would stop for a few days. But, you know, Steve Jobs died and fucking the world kept turning. George Carlin passed away, and I'll never forget. Fucking world kept turning. The next day, the news was on to something else. Enjoy your time while you're here, kids. Make your mark, make your impact, because when you go, people look back very briefly and then they fucking march on forward, man. Life moves in one direction, absolutely fucking forward. So appreciate it while you're marching. And you can't hold it against people who don't look back when you fall behind or when you pass. Like, life is for the living and stuff. And it's a shame, but it's a fact of life. So make the most of the moment that you're in. Because geez, man, fucking this dude passed away, and you know, he was all over the news for a red hot minute, but world
Life moves
kept
pretty
on,
fast.
yeah, world kept on fucking going. Now his poor widow and his kids got to figure out how to do it without him. And but for the rest of us, you know, it's fucking Tuesday. Life is so strange. The amount of value that we place upon it, like, you know, in the animal kingdom, animals drop all the time and they just move on. I mean, I don't know. It's not like I've studied them all, but you don't hear about animal funerals or anything like that. I'm sure they can mourn the dead or whatever, but life just moves forward, man. I always think about that. Like, I'm always like, when I fucking dropped dead, like when I had the heart attack a few years back, like that was closest I ever came. And I got to see like an outpouring of like people going like, oh, fucking, I love that guy and shit. Half of them took off after Masters of the Universe a few years later, but regardless, like there was, like, it was like reading my own eulogy. Like I got to see the world react, so to speak. And that, you know, I got to prolong that. When you die, they give you your flowers and then life goes on. They gave me flowers and I lived. And, you know, it's not like, and it sucked ever since. Like, it's been nice ever since. But yeah, I got kind of the best of both worlds in that situation. But I'd rather never die. So, you know, we really figure out a way to fucking avoid that altogether.
I'll get right on it. We've got top men working on it.
Top men.
Top.
That guy's Porkins, right?
Yeah. Keep working.
And he's also fucking, hey, Eckhart, think about the future. He's the cop in Batman, the cop who's on the take.
Mm-hmm.
Gets shot by the Joker.
You know, there was a really good living out there if you were a fat dude willing to act.
Who could speak like, who could do an American accent? I guess he was from America or something like that. All right, kids. Fucking, we've just been stringing it out because it's a good thing and I don't want it to end, but it's all things got to come to an end. Mark's got to climb that beanstalk. He's got to get that fucking golden goose.
I gotta go rub the taint of the golden goose and get me an egg.
Them eggs.
Yeah, come on, baby. Come on, just let it go. Just let it, just relax.
Don't fucking bring one egg. Bring the whole goddamn goose.
If I can get one golden egg, man, that's all I need. Just one.
That's true. Maybe you walk with one egg. The giant don't notice. You get away with it.
See, don't be greedy.
The giant notices.
That's why I always don't take more than you can carry.
It's true. There's fucking words to live by. If there's anything you learned from tonight's episode of Fat Man Beyond, kids, don't take more than you can carry. We thank Banff Man, JC, for bringing us to you, man. He's in a few short hours, 12 hours from now, he will be in the fucking trenches of Hoth, battling May the 4th at the Scum and Villainy Cantina right there on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California, man. May the 4th, Star Wars Day, all day long. Look, let's be honest. Every day is Star Wars Day at the Scum and Villainy Cantina.
Every day is Space Conflict Day.
There you go. We thank our sponsors, the good folks at
fucking hat. Fucking hat.
Good folks at Stance, the good folks at Native, for sponsoring us here on Fat Man Beyond. And of course, there would be no show without the guy who's I did it. I'm fingering Mark. Give it up for Marvelous Marc Bernardin.
Oh, thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to be by your side.
Jane Silent Bob Secret Stash Silver Anniversary Bash this weekend, kids. I'll see you there in Jersey, where it all began. 25 years of a comic book store. You know, I'm not saying I don't get credit for shit, but like, you take away the fucking movie career, whatever it is, like, you're left with a guy who's been in the retail business 25 years, man.
Ain't nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, man. I'm like fucking Sears and Roebuck. I'm like Woolworths.
FW Woolworth.
Yeah, I'm like fucking Kresge's, man. I'm gonna live forever.
You're like a pergament.
I'm like Child World, man. I'm like Lionel Kitty City over here. Modern day Toys R Us.
Lionel Kitty City. Sounds like a
Old-
pedophilia theme park.
Older than
Yeah.
Blockbuster. I think you made it longer than Blockbuster, maybe.
Were they in business 25 years?
They started probably earlier, but it was just a couple. But I think they blew up. Well, there's something you can shoot for. Aim for
I
Blockbuster.
think you may be right. I bet you it's life. Because were they around when we opened the stash? Let me see. I gotta look this up now. Blockbuster video. Show me Wikipedia.
Tell me a story. Fuck you. Oh, that's my favorite.
It begins. Founded 1985. Yeah, but they didn't go fucking huge in 1985. But it ends in 2010, essentially. That's 35 years. But I mean, would you say, here it is, financial peak was 1997 to 2006. Financial decline is 2007 to 2011. This fucking Blockbuster at one point, like we thought they were going to be around forever. They were Amazon. They were Netflix. They were fucking titans. And now it's a documentary, a really good documentary.
And there's one store left in Alaska where the hell the last Blockbuster is.
Man, strange.
Bend, Oregon.
Bend, Oregon.
Bend, Oregon.
Random, but Kevin shot his interview at Scum and Villainy for the last Blockbuster documentary. And occasionally the Netflix screensaver will come up on the bedroom TV. I'm like, what the fuck is Scum and Villainy on Netflix? And then I see Kevin and I was like, so it's very, very surreal to see the bar on Netflix occasionally.
My wife was like, we were fighting one day and she fucking went to fuck this. And she went to the room and tried to bury herself in her laptop. And, she was like, later on, she told me, she was like, open up fucking Netflix and your stupid face is fucking staring at me. This documentary. She's like, I just can't fucking avoid you. Yes. See, even Kevin Smith's wife can't fucking avoid him, kids. He's like the herpes. He's just with you until one of you drops dead.
One more little news thing we should hit. Our friend of the pod, Eric Carrasco.
Yes, Eric's got a show, man.
Well, he was one of the writers for the Batman Unburied podcast that David Goyer put together for Spotify. The first 2 episodes are out free now on your Spotify.
Eric Carrasco wrote my first Supergirl episode, Supergirl Lives. It was cheekily titled. He wrote like the fucking best moments in the Masters of the Universe Revelation series for my money. And that's saying, I'm saying that as one of the writers and Mark's one of the other ones, but Eric is just a fantastic at it. So yeah, he's been working on this podcast with Goyer for Red Hot Minute. Isn't Sam Witwer involved as well?
Sam Witwer's in it. Winston Duke is playing Bruce Wayne / Batman.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, very dope. So I'm excited to check it out. I haven't listened yet, but I just saw today that it dropped.
What is it called?
Batman Unburied on the Spotify's.
Go check it out on Spotify, kids. I remember when they were starting up these DC podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool. Good for Eric.
Indeed.
He deserves that and so much more. This motherfucker, one of the busiest writers on the planet, man.
He's a good man.
Good man, great writer. Decent man, great writer.
Yes, I mean, he's a fine guy. Let's not get out of here.
Questionable morals, fantastic fucking writer.
Good on the keys.
All right, man, there it is. Fucking, we got nothing left. We emptied the tank for you, kids.
We did. It's time to go home.
Yeah, you want any more of this, you got to come back next week or come to Jersey this weekend. See me at the Secret Stash.
Indeed.
There it is, my friends. Thank you for spending the time with us talking about this. It's nice. We got to take our minds off of the headlines for a minute and think about news that is it doesn't matter if somebody's just like they're canceling that fucking Superman movie because wait 10 minutes, there'll be another one coming and stuff. So, it's bad news is never even that bad in this world. And I say that as the guy who made Yoga Hosers, got a lot of bad news over the course of that movie's life. But this is our respite. This is where we go to hang out and get away from the real world. And thank you for affording us some time to do just that. I feel good.
Excellent.
I feel good. Yeah. I feel good. Come on, Mark. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Just background guy. What are you doing?
I need, man. I'm Tony Tone and you're Tone. So
I'm the third tone.
You're the third tone. I need one tone out of you, and that's So here we go. We're our duo.
Okay.
Feel good.
Yeah.
Nice. We got a hit.
It feels good.
And now I go, yeah. And now together we go, it feels good. It feels good.
Yeah. Should we have some more words to this song? No, it feels good, mate.
Yeah, why bother? We got it all. These are the only words. It feels good is the only 3 words you need for a fucking song. You throw a yeah in there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of yes. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mario Ochoa in chat says they don't want to go. Yeah, apparently we don't.
What else can we do? Oh, no. Let's talk about some shit we saw on the Twitter.
All right, kids. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. That is Fat Man Beyond for this week. For Fat Man Beyond, I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Tune in next time. Same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com or
youtube.com/Kevin Smith.
Rest in peace, Neil.
Jeff Kiss.
This is the cat. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the AKA Ask Kev Anything. Every saga has a 10-year anniversary, ladies and gentlemen, and this is what happens when Jay and Silent Bob get old. I'm Kevin Smith. Cheers, everyone!